Welcome. In front of me is a REALME 14 Pro Plus, and today I'll show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this phone. So we're gonna start off by opening up our settings and disregard that. And in here, starting off from the very top, we can navigate to wallpaper and style, which will be a general section for customizing your device, look and the feel, along with, well, also as the name suggests, changing your wallpaper. Now, we do have things like themes in here. If you are connected to network, you can download more. You can apply the ones that come with the device by default, and they vary in kind of wallpaper, fonts, and clock styles. Now, if we scroll down, we actually have option for all of those. So we have wallpapers. Here we have always on display, fonts, icons. If you have additional icon packs, you can select them in here, and you can also pick from the ones that come with the device. And in here, you also have a couple additional options for some of the icon packs. So you can change the art plus icons. You can change the size of them, and a couple additional things to just give you the more tailored look. And scrolling further down, we have colors, fingerprint animations, and edge lighting. Now, colors will refer to all of the accent colors that you have all around the device, like here, and even the icons list next to the settings names that are like listed right here, which I'll go in a moment into it. And you can change it to whatever you want. Now, I want to point out one thing. If you check anything apart from the first one, I believe, then the accent colors in your settings will be all set to the same exact color, all of them. While by default, it's just kind of, splash of color. Each option has a different one. And even further more in here, we have wallpaper colors. So this just creates a color palette based on your current wallpaper, which would be the best kind of option to give you the exact kind of look that would match things like the wallpaper. Now, under fingerprint animation, you can just change the animations when you're unlocking your device. This is only when you're just using your fingerprint and you have this kind of like animation under it. And that being said, you can select it to, for instance, any of these. You can also turn it off altogether, so there is no animation. But the light that you can see right here will always appear, as this is how the device sees your fingerprint. It blasts it with light, so it can see the actual print itself. There is no option for you to choose to actually turn that off. Now, if we go back to the main settings page, we can take a look at, like I mentioned, these colors. So if you went with colors, specific ones, these might all be set to a single color. So I just wanted to clarify this. Now, going to the next section, we have home screen and the lock screen, and in here we have a couple of things, and one of those would be things like the home screen, which is just a way to have your application stored, and you can have the drawer mode or standard, though I would consider this standard for Apple users, as all of your icons would be on your home screen. Now this one you pull up to get all your applications alphabetically stored in the app drawer. Additionally, you can also clamp up the tightness of these icons in your drawer to be, for instance, from 4 columns to 5, though I find it a little bit too claustrophobic there. And a couple additional options in here as well. I'm going back. We also have the icon pull down gesture. This is a one-handed mode basically. You can use that if you want to. I will just be honest, it is kind of wonky, doesn't always work for me. Maybe I'm just doing it weirdly, but sometimes it's very finicky. But if you're looking for one-handed mode, that's where you can activate it. Now, if we scroll down further, we will have this option right here, swipe down on home screen. This is basically the ability for you to swipe down when you're on your home screen to gain either the global search, or better option, and here at least what I think is a better option, is the notifications and quick settings. So now whenever you're on your home screen and you want to pull down your notifications, you can just do that from anywhere on your screen. As long as you have enough space to do this down motion, it will pull down your notifications and quick settings, which is a very handy option. I do use that quite often. This is a fantastic one. Now, another thing here is the animation speed. So we have set standard and enhanced, and you can actually see the difference. And I do want to point out This just give props to this. Thank you, Realme. This is fantastic. The way it's being presented, just so good. So you can have a clear visual difference on the changes that will be happening, and all it does is just increases the animation speed of applications being opened and closed, and other things like, for instance, if I press recent, this is zooming out, as well as pressing somewhere so it slides away. All those can be increased, and by increasing them, your device actually might feel a little bit snappier. Now this is one way. There's also another way you can do that by going into the developer options and changing animation speed in there to be decreased by half, which will be even faster than what you have right here. Now if we go back to the main settings page and now scroll down to display and brightness, here's another couple things that we have, which includes, let me just close the door. There we go. So which includes foremost at the top the light and dark mode. So you can change it permanently from one to the other. With the dark mode, this is I believe OLED or AMOLED display, so the black color, that is anything that is black, is actually pixels being completely turned off. It's equivalent as you doing this. So with that in mind, this would actually give you better battery life. If you have a lot of this kind of straight, can I just draw the pattern? Thank you. If you have a lot of like this fully black areas, this would preserve a little bit more battery life than, for instance, light mode. Now additionally, you also have the schedule mode, which is probably going to be the better option for a lot of people. And when enabled, you have the sunset to sunrise or on a custom timer option, and this allows you to basically have the phone switch from light to dark mode and vice versa based on the time of day or on your specific timer. So during nighttime, I can have it set to night mode, dark mode, and that means that when you wake up at night and you want to check the time and you unlock your device, you're not going to be getting flashbanged by a white background like this one, which is very handy. Now a little bit further down we have the screen color mode. This just defines how saturated the display is. Now Realme unfortunately uses a very oversaturated colors here, and you can see the red ones specifically. They're just straight up overdone as much as it can be. So you can switch to other options, and we have things like vivid, natural. Under pro mode we have cinematic and brilliant, along with pro mode being specific. In any case, so you can see the differences between those. Wow, and pro mode apparently is even more saturated. How is that pro? Pro in terms of singeing your irises out? Now under the supposedly the P3 mode, we have something that should be more color calibrated, though it doesn't look like it. So it looks like the natural one is the most reasonable one, at least in my opinion. This is the most toned down one, where the reds don't look like they're just a nuclear explosion happening on your screen, so that's what I like. So that's what I'm gonna stick with, but at the end of the day, it's completely up to you. And additionally, you also have the little color slider right here, which allows you to add specific tint to your display. And again, Realme just allows you to completely overcook that as much as it possibly can be. So no other device, even with this wheel, will have this pronounced of a color tint to the display. It's usually something along these lines. So I'm gonna stick with the default. You can also choose either warm or cold, and you can see these are a little bit more in a reasonable kind of manner. Now if we go back, we also have the adaptive tone. This just tries to mimic the color temperature of the environment you're in. So if you're in like a, for instance, studio like I'm in, with what I could consider kind of like a controlled white balance, so everything here just seems more white instead of like piss yellow or anything like that. If you have just like piss yellow lights and you have this enabled, this would try to match that piss yellow color on your screen, so it would become very yellowish. And again, if you then leave such a lighting environment, maybe go outside, where it's more, I would say, natural lighting, then again, your display will represent that as well. It will remove that yellowish tint and swap it out to something more neutral. So there we go. One more thing in here, if you have this enabled, then under screen color mode, this becomes unavailable too. It is then basically the device defines which tint it's going to pick on its own, and this basically gets turned off, as this option would control that. Now scrolling further down, we have screen resolution and refresh rate. So here we have two options. We have the standard and high. This is actually using what could basically be closest to like 1440p display. I personally don't see much of a difference between these resolutions at all. On any device, I have never been able to notice the difference. And for that reason, I personally would be sticking with the standard option, as this would give me better battery life. Less resolution means that the processor needs to put less effort in rendering whatever's on the display, and that gives me better battery life. Now, under the refresh rate though, we have a couple options. So we have the auto select, standard, and high. Now apparently this is set to standard, and this actually looks pretty good for standard, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even notice this is standard till I saw this right here. But going over the options, the best option for you will be the one that is most likely set by default, and I believe that would be the auto select. This gives you the nice smooth motion on a display, which, don't worry, you won't be able to see this on the video recording, as YouTube is capped to 60 frames per second, and so is my recording that I'm capturing. Therefore, anything above that is just kind of a lost. The only thing that I can see with this kind of difference, even though it's not running at 120 Hz for you when playing it back, you can see this kind of smoothness on the display where the text just kind of elongates more, it kind of more of a blur compared to the screen refresh rate, compared to the standard, which just kind of looks a bit more choppy. So the text looks like it's in more places at the same time, if that explains it a little bit. In general, if you don't know what this option is, it's just allowing you to have your display when scrolling and navigating to your device look a bit smoother, just nicer in general in terms of appearance only. Other than appearance, it serves no actual benefit. Actually, it might even work against that, because high refresh rate will decrease your battery life. Now this is using an LTPO display, meaning that it drops below the specified refresh rate of like 120, and here I'm not exactly sure, but I presume it's dropping to like 1 frame per second when there's nothing moving on the display. So as an example, right over here. And the best option here, like I mentioned, would be the auto select, as it kind of varies between these refresh rates. Or if you don't see the difference, stick with the standard. And moving on to the last option, it's going to be under the notifications and quick settings, and here we have a status bar. This is where you can remove unwanted clutter from your status bar, things like icons, for instance NFC, Bluetooth, and so on. If you have this enabled all the time, it probably serves you no purpose to have it visible in your status bar, so you can just completely get rid of it from here. There we go. Bluetooth, NFC is already turned off, and I think this actually might be done by default for some reason. This actually kind of seems sketchy, considering NFC is enabled out of the box on the phone, and now it's hidden as well, so you don't know it. And okay, it is on the second page. Some phones have it also hidden from the toggles right here as well. Now, if you don't know what NFC is, it's a way for you to either connect to devices easily, like headphones or stuff like that, or for instance using this to pay in stores instead of your card. So you can turn off basically all these toggles at your will, and additionally you also have battery options in terms of styles. So we have things like battery style, we have horizontal, vertical, loop, and not show. Now I want to point out one thing. Right here you have where it says inside battery percentage. I want to kind of put focus on that, so if I switch it to anything else, you can see that the option now disappeared. Battery percentage is only available to you inside of the battery with the horizontal. Any other option has it always outside, and I can just toggle it on and off with this. While the horizontal has the ability for you to have it inside. And lastly will be the notification icons. This allows you to have, for instance, just a number right here of how many notifications you have right here. By default, it only shows you 2 icons for applications. So you have more, and those just don't show at all. But with the number, obviously you would have just a clear knowledge of how many notifications you have in total instead of just the 2, I guess, latest ones, I think. So nice option. But in any case, this would sum up the list. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.